Well, it was certainly a blue wave for the elections the other night. The Democrats pretty much swept everywhere. And in case you missed it, Mabel and I actually did our first live stream, live reporting ever. We participated in Decision Desk HQ and Chuck Todd and Chris Cillizza's election night live stream. So that was obviously a really exciting moment for Newsgirls. And we did not expect all of the reaction we got to the reporting that we presented.
No, it was really exciting because we were basically brought on to be correspondents for obviously the New York City mayoral race. And so we were really focused on getting to know what was happening on the ground. And little did we know, everyone else was just like recording from home, very like chill, just kind of talking about their thoughts. And Bren and I had a billion plans of how to bring our reporting to life. So should we tell them what we did?
So we spent election day. We woke up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, 5 a.m.
and we live in Manhattan, so it does feel like we're in a blue bubble a lot of the times. And in order to find reliably red voters, you have to go to Staten Island. It's really the only borough that Trump has won. He's won it 3 times. We had no plan. We just two girls, mics and a dream, and we headed out to Staten Island.
Everyone, we're in Staten Island, New York on Election Day.
This is really the Republican stronghold in New York City. It went for Trump 3 times. There's really no path to a Sliwa victory that doesn't go through Staten Island.
So we're really excited to talk to some voters about why they're voting for Sliwa. Can you tell us who you voted for mayor?
I 100% voted for Curtis Sliwa. I believe it was obvious during the debates, the 2 debates, he obviously won. He's the only man who had an actual plan to get our city back on track.
I feel like Sliwa has the people's best interest in mind in terms of everybody. I don't agree with a lot of the things Mamdani is proposing, and after what Cuomo did with the whole COVID situation, I don't really feel like he's the best pick either.
I think, unfortunately, the only option to vote for is Cuomo.
And why do you say unfortunately?
I say unfortunately. So back in 2020 in COVID, Cuomo killed my grandmother. My grandmother was in a nursing home on Staten Island. Her entire floor passed away.
And yet you have to come and vote for him today.
Today, Cuomo's the only option.
I'm actually a Republican, but I feel like Curtis doesn't really have a shot. Cuomo.
Cuomo. Do I love him? No. But I think he's up to the job, and I don't think the other two candidates are.
I'm a staunch opponent of the Cuomo dynasty, but I am casting a vote for him today.
Ooh, okay, so can you tell us why?
And because the city's a disaster.
I held my nose and voted for him. I feel he could administer the city in a proper way. The other man, no experience whatsoever, and it's not a beauty contest.
So we're on our way to the next polling place, and we're so surprised at the lack of Sliwa voters that we have found. So we decided to call up a longtime Staten Island resident and singer named Lavari, who we saw endorse Sliwa on social media, to get his take.
I think that the state that we're in right now, people are paying all these taxes, people are working hard, and the city is decrepit. You know, Curtis Sliwa began the Guardian Angels. Like, they were the Robin Hoods and continue to be the Robin Hoods of New York City society, lifesavers, a thankless job. And then you have, somebody, like he who shall not be named.
Oh, what do you think of Mamdani?
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Not my cup of tea. Got a lot of promises that I don't think he's going to be able to keep.
Vote for Zoran for mayor, for Jumani for public advocate, for Mark Levine for controller.
Did the fact that Trump endorsed Cuomo affect your vote at all?
I don't listen to anybody's endorsement.
Yeah, a little shocking.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit suspicious. I don't feel like the president should be influencing who you think is the right person for the job.
Do you think that there's any chance that Sliwa wins?
There's hope. There's hope. I just think that maybe, at the 11th hour, that people will wake up.
I personally do.
Okay.
I don't believe the polls are being honest. The math to me does not add up.
Well, we are headed back to Manhattan now. That was not the day in Staten Island that we expected. We heard a lot that people really respect Sliwa and they actually think he would be a better mayor and they like him more.
People that last minute changed their votes because they thought that voting for Sliwa was just throwing away their vote. And even though they apparently all hated Cuomo, they voted for him anyway.
I really wanted to vote for Sliwa, but it just seemed like throwing a vote away. And we haven't had a good mayor since we had a Republican in office. I don't know why New York can't see the trend.
Vote for Curtis Sillizza is a vote for Mamdani, and we can't have that.
The hosts were like blown away and could not believe we found these classic Staten Island people.
Oh, that was awesome. amazing.
Mabel ran.
The lady with the coffee cup, I think, was my favorite of all of them.
Oh, yeah. Voted for Cuomo, but he killed my grandma.
Cuomo
can't be
killed
that.
my grandmother,
The guy with the full open sweatshirt with the Staten Island versus everyone full chest.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they played the package. Everyone loved it. And then we did a little bit of breaking down what we saw and kind of what we're seeing in Manhattan. And that wasn't it. We continued to go on more adventures. Basically, after we were done with this live stream, we found that the Democratic Socialist Party, basically that Zoran belongs to, was having victory/watch parties all around the city. And so we decided that it would be really cool for when we go on the live stream again at 10 p.m. to report live again.
At this point, we had no idea. 250,000 people were watching. And we just did a live interview with the co-chair of the Democratic Socialists, and he explained why they're so fired up about Zoran, and a little bit about what the DSA is and how that's different from being a classic Democrat. That ended our tour of the boroughs for the day.
Yeah, they were definitely just laughing at the fact that every time they went to us, we were in a different location, just the two of us with a ring light, just going around New York City talking to different people. It was so loud when we were there, so we were trying to listen to what they were saying, and then everyone was screaming and chanting Zoran because when we got to that party, that was right when basically they announced that he won. So it was a very exciting environment to be in and to be able to kind of show everyone what New York City was like during this very special moment.
And then we went home.
That was such a crazy day.
The stars of this live stream, let's be honest, it's Ren and Mabel.
Yes, Ren and Mabel.
You got
Hashtag
the Cuomo,
Newsgirls.
the Cuomo killing, the grandmother killing Cuomo voter, right? None of us are going to get over that.
So let's get into what happened. 34-year-old Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York City come January 1st. And he dethroned a dynastic figure, honestly, in New York politics, the former governor, Andrew Cuomo. And it was pretty close, honestly.
Yeah, were you surprised about that?
Yeah, I feel like the sentiment was if you're young and you're in Manhattan especially, you're voting for Zoran. There's no question about it. But then I will say in the past few weeks, I started hearing more and more young people say they're voting for Cuomo. It became acceptable to be I'm still progressive, but I'm voting for Cuomo. I think Zoran was a little bit damaged within the Jewish community. And I heard from a lot of friends in the Jewish community that they trust Cuomo to take care of them more. And Cuomo, in a lot of respects, did represent the safe choice. And Mamdani was more of the risky candidate. So I still thought Mamdani overall would pull it off, but I didn't feel as confident as I had for most of the campaign in the recent weeks.
But wasn't it funny that it was called at 9:30? We thought it would take a while to count the votes, and by 9:30, 9:45, we knew that he won. He got over 50% of the votes, which we were also really looking to see if he would be able to get, the acceptance of a majority of the city for his proposals.
I don't know if the state legislature and the governor will see even the fact that he eked over 50%. I don't know if that's going to classify as a mandate.
Yeah, no, and we know that the governor is going to be, Kathy Hochul is going to be kind of grappling with this while also dealing with her own race that's going to be next year. And obviously she wants to appeal to moderate voters as well. Not everyone was voting for Mamdani. You mentioned Jewish voters, obviously big businesses. There's a lot of people in the city who have qualms about his policies, and she's going to want to get their vote.
And we were asked this last night on the live stream, but what do you think Zoran's first big test is going to be? What does he have to deliver?
Yeah, I think housing, honestly. I think he ran a campaign on, freeze the rent, creating more affordable housing. And that's something that's actually within his control. The mayor appoints basically the people to this board that decide what happens with housing and rent and all of that. So that is something he won't need the governor's office help on. So if you ran this campaign and this is something you're in control of, within this first year, is that something that he can make waves in?
And this is something we've talked about offline. Unfortunately, there's not a lot he can do for everybody in terms of this. The freeze the rent only applies to the 2 million New Yorkers in rent stabilized units. It's only about a quarter of the city that is even in those units. So we're not in those units. We wouldn't feel any of that. If he builds affordable housing We might feel that because of the less competition for our units, but that takes so long. Like it's going to take a while to build.
And we talked about this concept when we interviewed Chuck Todd on our podcast last week. It's hard to decide what is more important in a mayor. All of these ideas sound so exciting, but can they actually make a difference in your life?
The fact that he had 100,000 people volunteering for him for a mayoral race. And something else that we thought was funny is that Mamdani has not gone on record saying he will move into Gracie Mansion. And obviously for this Democratic Socialist, like affordability platform mayor, it's funny to imagine he's going to live in a mansion, but he should. He should totally go and live that mayoral life.
Yeah, it's been funny to hear what he has to say in interviews because he lives in a rent-stabilized one-bedroom in Queens now. And he was like, I'm definitely moving out of it. We need a bigger space. Like, I don't want to live there anymore. But he hasn't said if he's going to live in this mansion because it's not the best look. So we'll see what he does.
And we'll also see, because Cuomo said before that if Mamdani wins, he's moving to Florida. So see you later, Cuomo. We listened to part of Mamdani's speech, and I was definitely surprised at how hard he went on Cuomo, because it could have been a moment of like extended olive branch. He clearly really hates Cuomo after all of this, fair enough. But he really railed on Trump and was almost like baiting him to come to New York and challenge him. The best chance to try to keep Trump at bay and earn his respect would be to be aggressive and fight back. And so maybe that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I listened to an interview where he said that exact same thing. He was like, we know that Trump responds really well to strength and not backing down. And a Cuomo administration would, because Trump endorsed him, potentially be an easy administration for Trump to control. So yeah, Mamdani's thesis seems to be that responding in this kind of way is a way to earn Trump's respect. I feel like it's maybe just going to aggravate Trump. He's obviously threatening to withhold federal funding. We'll see what happens, but it'll definitely be an interesting next 4 years.